Friday night proved what many of you already know. You should always listen to Todd. That's right, folks. We had Friday night, and I told you, Arizona plus the 1.5. The morons were out there trying to build this lineup. It went from Arizona minus 1.5 up to Arizona getting 1.5. And the morons were all over Kansas State. I told you Kansas State was a flawed football team on week 0 of 5 Thoughts on week 0. My show, that's right, the show. I said Kansas State looks like a team that is going to Deathspiral into oblivion after that game in Ireland. And here we are, 4 weeks later, they're 1-3, or 3 weeks later, they're 1-3. They barely walked out of their own stadium in Manhattan, Kansas with the win against North Dakota. That's right. They barely beat North Dakota. They needed the last 30 seconds to do it. And hell, North Dakota almost got in field goal range to tie that game. Now they lose to Army, and then they go into Arizona, and I just don't understand what people were seeing. Arizona's a decent football team this year. Kansas State sucks. That's right. Avery Johnson, the coaching staff, the whole group needs to go. They're terrible. This thing is awful. They had 44 yards in the very first half. The whole first half, 44 yards. Avery Johnson had 88 yards for the entire game passing. He had negative 16 yards rushing. This team was a mess. They got a couple breaks. They got a muffed punt in the first half, which led to 3 points. They should have been shut out in the first half, honestly. They come out in the second half. They get a 75-yard run on the first play from scrimmage in the second half, score a touchdown, and then again, they get a punter that muffs the snap. They end up getting a block. They get the ball down. They score. It looks like, oh my God, 17-17. Kansas State is back. No, my friend, they're not back. They sucked in the fourth quarter. They suck. I wouldn't put any money on Kansas State. I thought this could be a 9-4 football team, and they look like a 2-10 football team. They're the Florida State of 2025, and it's all because of losing that Ireland game. Now let's talk a little bit about Arizona here and our running back, Ismail Mahi. 189 yards rushing. That's right. Kansas State couldn't stop this fool, man. He was on fire. On fire. The one thing I didn't like from Arizona was they were rolling down in the third quarter. They had a big run by Ismail there, and then they come out with just some stupid wide receiver throwback. Pass down the field. The wide receiver wasn't open. Instead of doing it, he throws an interception. It literally could have cost them the game, even though Kansas State couldn't really do anything with the ball. But it was just a dumb play. I thought Arizona controlled the game all night. I told you 1.5. Get Arizona in the 1.5. You'll be a winner. And chicken dinner came through, baby. That's right. All right. Let's move over to Colorado real quick. Here we are with Colorado, another mess of a team right now, not looking good through 3 weeks of the season, can't figure out who their quarterback is, don't really know what they're going to do here offensively, and it showed last night to Houston. They lost 36-20, and quite frankly, they're lucky to score the 20. It was just not a good showing. I told you going into the season, I thought Colorado was a 6-6 team at best. Over-under win line was 5.5. They had a lot of the fools, the morons on parade, that's right, the ones you see on TV, talking and spocking about how Colorado was going to be a 9-win, 10-win team. Well, they're fools, that's right, fools on parade out there listening to what they thought Dion was going to do with all this stuff and these other coaches and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. This is a bad football team, folks, and I'm going to give it to Willie Fritz at Houston. I thought this would be a 4-win, 5-win team at Houston. They're looking pretty good. They're 3 wins. They're 3-0 through the first 3, so they're clearly should get the 4 or 5 wins. And this might be a pretty decent football team in Willie's second year down there at Houston. So I was excited with what I saw at Houston. But what I wasn't excited about, and let me tell you, folks, this is the calamity of the year right here. Deshaun Foster and UCLA. Nico is terrible. This is a bad team. They're going to have a poster in Tennessee. It's going to say, don't be Nico. Don't transfer and be Nico. That's what they're going to point to. They're going to point to the the poster. Don't be Nico. Nico was just absolutely terrible last night. UCLA was terrible. They just got absolutely snowballed by New Mexico, 35-10. It was ugly, ugly, ugly. Every aspect of the team is ugly. They got no toughness. You know what? I love UCLA's uniforms. I think they're one of the most classic uniforms in college football. But they're not playing classic football here at UCLA. They look terrible. I can't believe Foster walked off the field still as the coach of this football team. They better make some big changes or they're going to need to move to the Pac-2 and play with Washington State and Oregon State, who quite frankly would beat them. So here's what I propose right now we do. We make the California Suck Bowl and we make it between Stanford in UCLA at the end of the season, and maybe one of those teams will get a win at the end of the year. More than likely, they'll bumble around, and they'll go to 0-0 tie, and no one will win, and they'll be 0-12-1 because this is a bad football team in UCLA. Let's move over to Indiana. And boy, old Cignetti didn't want to miss a beat. He wanted to make sure he scored 73 points like Florida State did last week, 70 like Ohio State did. He wanted to be up there because he knows damn well he's going into much tougher games after the bye week, and he needs to put up some style points. Fernando Mendoza had a hell of a game. The kid got an arm on him. They just absolutely walloped Indiana State 73-0, and their whole goal was to make sure that this Indiana State team did not score a single point. And I'll tell you, a lot of people think Kirk's an asshole, and I think he is too, but I think he's the right kind for Indiana. He's got enough swagger for a team that has no swagger. The guy has swagger, but he has a team that's not had any swagger for the last 100 years. But he acts like he's walking out there with, the Alabama Crimson Tide every week from, the Nick Saban era. So I think he's just a complete ass. But I love him. I think he's perfect there at Indiana. It's a great thing. So we had a lot of decent football on Friday night, some entertainment. I thought it was great. We're going into Saturday. This is Saturday right now, this morning, and we're going to see some great football today. You know what my picks are. If you don't know, you need to go watch them. You need to get some money down. You need to maybe make some ducats on it, but don't waste any ducats. Just use the extra ducats that you have. But I'm telling you, folks, I was 100% right on that Arizona game. I've been 100% right on Kansas State since week 0. I told you Colorado wasn't going to be very good. Even the fools on parade told you they were. I'm just telling you, you should be paying attention and you should be listening to ALTT because that's where the real information comes from. See you soon.